Assalamu alaikum. I have not done a live stream on my channel for a very long time. I was actually not feeling well. Um, yeah, just it's been absolutely crazy. So, firstly, in the comment section, can you guys let me know if you can hear me? If the audio is okay? Just gonna have a look at the chat section. I can see Y Patel, mindless procrastination, Camel, Erblick, I think that's his name. Let me know if you guys can actually hear me. No one's commenting. Yes, they can. Okay, more people are starting to join. Very good. So firstly, before getting into the discussion and getting you guys to more scenes in the chat, he's saying go home. No, I'm not going home. Okay, so let's first check, right? Who saw the discussion? What did you think? How was it? Who saw it? Big delay. What's the big delay in? Okay, Muhammad Hadib. Let me just add you. Muhammad Hadib, I'm gonna send you the link to join. I'll send it to you on WhatsApp. There you go. Okay, Muhammad Hadib, I'll just wait for you to join the discussion. Okay, reading the comments. Hilarious. All right, he's getting his laptop. Okay, good. Yeah, the format was a bit, a lot of people are talking about the format. The format was they couldn't see each other, but there was this type of gap between the two. So Michaela Peterson would be talking to one of them, and then she'd talk to the other one, but they wouldn't talk to each other. I honestly thought that Hijab was bringing arguments, evidence, research. He thoroughly looked at the arguments and looked at the presuppositions and the counterfactuals, and there's a whole array of systematic reasoning and clear argumentation and lucidly put, passionate at times, as you guys can guess. But from her side, it's just feeble. It didn't come across strong at all. It's just like Fox News stuff, That's my honest opinion. I'm not just saying that because I'm a Muslim. It just really, I think anybody would look at that and say it's a complete mismatch. In fact, I think it's one of Hijab's best performances after the David Wood debate, I would say. What do you guys think? Is that too much? I'll put the StreamYard link in if someone wants to have a chat. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. What do you guys think? How was the discussion arranged? I don't know the details, but I assume Michaela Peterson would have just reached out.
religion from politics.
Therefore, if someone wants to use second wave feministic collectivistic discourses to try.
Can you guys hear that?
Discourses. Ayaan has, he's a feminist. We are opposed to feminism, and we say that feminism has now almost certainly been cracked open as a false ideology. Of course, I think I should add to this, in addition to all that was aforementioned, that Ayaan McGann herself was embroiled in the most embarrassing of public inquiries, if you can call that, whereby she herself was in a polygynous relationship. She was a mistress. She was a mistress to Niall Ferguson, her husband now. And she was doing so at the dismay of Sue Douglas, who is his ex-wife. And with the destabilizing effect, of course, the destabilizing effect to his family, to Lachlan Ferguson, to Phoenix Ferguson, the children of Niall Ferguson. So she attacks religion in her books, but she practices it in her daily life. And so this is a serious hypocrisy, not just in that which she does, Ayaan McGann, but in that which she states as well. So the challenge really is, and I will repeat this, if someone wants to quote aspects of the Islamic discourse, aspects of the Islamic jurisprudential tradition, and juxtapose it with the Western discourses, especially here we're talking about second wave feminism, and expect Islam to correspond with those, they'll be utterly and bitterly disappointed, because clearly we believe our system is superior.
I just absolutely love that. How you doing, bro? Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam, bro. Amazing.
I just love the way he just did that. I just loved it. You know, our system's better than theirs, whatever. You know.
Right when I saw that part, bro, I knew I had to put it on Twitter, man. It was incredible.
You see, what happened, I'll tell you what happened, bro, is that I put it up and then you put it up at the same time.
Yeah.
We both had the same clip in mind, you know?
You know, others put it up as well, right, when they saw it. There's loads of accounts that I think, you know what this moment reminded me of? You know that moment in the David Wood debate when Hijab was on the table, and then he was like, he was talking about the expansion of Christianity, how it spread by the sword. That was like a bomb drop moment. This was up there as well, I felt.
Yeah. Did you watch? Did you get to? I mean, we did the Twitter thing. Did you get to watch the whole thing? Yeah.
Yeah. I just finished it, actually. I just finished it.
All right. What do you think?
Well, the first thing when I first watched it, you can tell that, as I said, it wasn't anything special. I wasn't like really amazed by her or by it. It was literally just like the same apostates that we engage with on Twitter, the ones that are famous. We're not going to mention them, but you know who we're talking about. It's the same types of argument. In fact, it was even funny when she started talking about Christianity and how she was like throwing Islam under the bus by glorifying Christianity. It's the same tactic, no change at all.
Identical.
Yeah, same thing.
That's a very good observation, by the way.
It was crazy, just the identicality of it. And then when she started talking, I could see more and more what you and Hijab were talking about in your last live stream, how she's propagating this far-right terrorism. And in fact, I put a clip on Twitter, and it was near the end of the discussion. Michaela actually asks her, she's like, she's talking about, I think, she asked her about terrorism, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and all that stuff. And what she says, she asked her about apostasy. And then Michaela asked her, what's the reasons for that? And then this is where she showed her true colors. And then she said, you know what? The reason for apostasy is that these traditional Muslims, which she talks about us, but she calls us radical Muslims, it's because they follow the same like manhaj, if you will, as ISIS, as Al-Qaeda, as these guys. And this is the reason.
That's it.
And this is the reason why these people apostate. And at that moment, that showed her true colors. And then there was another point where Hijab brought up how she actually inspired one of these terrorists, which killed 77 people, I think, how he mentioned her by name in his book. Kind complete expose. Complete expose.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think what it is she wants to paint all Muslims as ISIS.
Mhm.
And this is, if you like, a dream of a dream of the far right, that they could paint all Muslims as ISIS. So if they can do that, then they can turn the West against us. But it's obvious that, number one, the target of these Khawarij type groups is, majority of the time, it's Muslims. Then there's, like Hijab pointed out, there's no Islamic justification for the targeting of civilians. But she wants to paint it otherwise. There's clear reasons in Islam for why we would forgive even our enemies at points, but she doesn't take any of that into account. Even she's, I mean, I would describe her as an Anglophile, right? As in, Anglophile is a term that wasn't really in much use, I guess, in recent history, but you find it more so at the height of the British Empire. People of color were Anglophiles. Some of them, that they were absolutely bedazzled by anything to do with Anglo-Saxon culture.
Yeah.
So, these Anglophiles were, I mean, they would selectively see certain things. They would look at certain things. So certain things would be clear to them, that they'd look at Christianity and they'd in the British Empire, and they'd see no problems. They would just see good stuff. They wouldn't see Churchill's genocide against the Indian Muslims in Bengal. They wouldn't see the gas being used by the British against the Iraqis. They won't see any of this stuff, all the stuff in Africa and the Aborigines. They don't see any of that. But with Islam, they'll pick up on every single detail. They'll be like, yeah, but this thing happened here, this thing happened here. You know what I mean?
Isn't that happening right now as well? Without mentioning, it's happening right now.
Yeah.
With what's going on right now. And yeah, I feel that. And you could tell, bro, like when she started off talking as well, you know how people, like, I find it so funny. You know how people define themselves? Like, you give them a definition. Someone, like, she's an ex-Muslim. She claims she's an ex-Muslim. But it's funny that when she first started talking, the first things that she uttered from her mouth was the following statements: "What made me famous, or what made me infamous, actually, was that I'm an apostate from Islam." Like, that's her identity, and she admits that, and that's what rose her in the ranks in the West. Because without that, and without her carrying that baggage with her, she wouldn't be anything that she is today. And that's why she carries that, and that's why
she has.
Yeah, that's why she carries that, and that's why the first words, it's like she's programmed to say this. The first words on any major platform you go up to, the first thing you say, "I'm a apostate, I'm an ex-Muslim, and that's what made me famous," and she admits it.
Yeah. I mean, that's their main selling point, isn't it? That's basically it. What else do they have?
That's the only reason that they brought her up like this. In fact, bro, I was on Twitter, and Lawrence Krauss actually wants to do a podcast with her now on about her new. I was laughing, bro.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, they saw the plan wasn't working. So then,
I think overall, this was. I think she's gonna basically think this was a disaster for her.
Yeah.
I think she's gonna reflect about this, and she's gonna be like, "Nah, this was a bad idea."
Yeah, now they're trying to do some patchwork, trying to patch it up.
Yeah. I think so.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. Yeah.
Or was it anything? And I also liked how I would have loved to see, but because I'm not sure it would have been productive if this happened. You know how they were, how Michaela was asking Ayaan some questions and then switching over to Hijab. They weren't getting that face-to-face comfort. I understand why, because otherwise I don't think it would have been productive. But I really love to see a reaction when Hijab was absolutely giving the Islamic arguments for why her claim about Islam being misogynistic was completely nonsense. Why the stuff
Yeah.
about Al-Qaeda and ISIS, how he gave the Islamic. I would
She
love
was
to see her reaction. I would love to see.
absolutely flawed.
I would-
Absolutely flawed.
Yeah,
She had. I mean, in many ways, it's kind of good she couldn't hear Hijab's answers
Mm-mm.
and nobody listens to hers, because I think she'd be deflated by half of it. She'd give up. She'd be like, what's the point? I'm being absolutely demolished, absolutely humiliated online. Actually, me and earlier on, me and Mohsin, we were together. We were watching a clip and we were just laughing. He was laughing at the Apple polisher comment. Do you remember?
It was at that point where you had me totally gripped. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Yeah, I was. I've got to say this, bro. I'm only here for a quick minute. Yeah, when I got into the office today, I think I got in at about 12 o'clock or about 11:30 or 12 o'clock, and you was already there, right? And you're still in the office.
I'm not in the office technically. I'm not here.
You're 2 doors away in the Sapien. I know where you are. I know where you are. What are you
I know where
doing,
you live.
man?
I know where you live.
I know where you sleep. He slept in the office today for a whole hour on a makeshift sofa bed with no covers, no pillow. Right?
That's what you do.
I'll tell you something. Look, one thing about the Ayura brothers, mashallah, yeah,
This is
their dedication is something else.
Let's not talk about my sleeping pattern. Let's stick to this interesting discussion. That's what everybody wants to hear, bro. What did you think of it? You love watching debates, discussions. You've been in the dawah, you've been filming, editing, and you love this, you know what I mean?
I do.
Did you think there was a lot of meme material there? Do you think there was a lot of interesting?
There was so much, but do you know something, Saburi? Yeah? On a real one, yeah. I filmed your debate with Cosmic Skeptic, and I love editing, filming and editing and doing crazy things, right? To really make it, really pop for the audience, right? And I only wished I could have filmed Hijab with 3 or 4, maybe even 5 camera angles to catch everything, get every side profile, close-up profile, watch his hands clenching, his fist clenching anger when he's saying something. I want to get all of that and cut it in there.
And you know what?
And then put it
it's
out
quite
there.
funny. Yeah, I mean, even the last clip just before Muhammad Hadib joined, he goes, so, if anybody, is trying to compare Islam with modernistic understanding, there's no comparison, because there's going to be complete polar opposites, because we believe we're right. He's very good at conveying himself. He's got very good body language, very good, charisma. So yeah, that stuff has to be, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you need to inject this stuff into the because
what it is, I spend 3 days a week in London and 4 days a week in Bolton. So when I'm in London, I'm at my mum's house, right? And when I'm in Bolton, I'm with my wife. And it's because I work in London, you see. So my mum just knocks the door. She's like, "Who are you talking to?" I'm 46 years old and I still get this. Mashallah. It's crazy. But yeah, mashallah, may Allah bless it. But yeah, as I was saying, I really wanted to film this sort of stuff. I love filming debates. I'm not sure if you guys have seen the ones I've done with Adnan Rashid when he debated Samuel Green. I filmed 3 of those and I thought they were brilliant. But the one I enjoyed the most was the one with you and Cosmic Skeptic, especially the last 20 minutes. I thought was just pure class. But watching Hijab in action today, and he was really trying to hold down his aggression. So in some ways, I know the audience is people watching are saying you should have toned that down. People are missing the point of what he's making. They're focusing on the delivery and not the actual content. But I don't think that's true. I think he's a very passionate person, and obviously Islam means a lot to him, like it does to us. And he's got protective jealousy over Islam. He's got gira for Islam. Like when he was mentioning about the gira for your women folk, right? For our women folk. We should also have gira for Islam as well, for protective jealousy. Where if someone tries to take a stab at it, we need to come out like lions, and he did, and he was representing, and I think that's very important, and we shouldn't discount that. We should pay its just due, and I think it's amazing that we have people like Muhammad Hijab. The more I'm getting to know him, the more I realize this guy is a beast. Like his mind just soaks up knowledge, and he can reference things and people and books and quotes like that. Yeah. It's amazing. I filmed him using Zandania, and I was shocked at how he can just recall information.
Yeah, I mean, this is a very interesting point. And I think brothers like Muhammad Hadib, who recently launched his channel as well, this is good for him to know as well that
Assalamu alaikum, by the way, bro. Muhammad Hadid.
Walaikum assalam.
yeah,
Walaikum
this
assalam.
is this is, you know, the result of practice. A lot of people don't realize the level of practice that is required in order to go and deliver these types of things. So if somebody is doing something like archery, yeah, you can't just wake up one day and do archery, right? And you'll do it well. You know, you have to, I mean, everything matters, even your diet, you know, eating certain foods which are better for your eyes, you know, the amount of caffeine you have because you don't want to be jittery, you know, and even simple things like having the ability to stand still and your breathing, and this is related to your weight and all this stuff. And you know, runners, like someone who's running a marathon, right? You'd first need to like train yourself up for months and months and months. So when it comes to these discussions, the Jordan Peterson discussion, Ayaan discussion, David Wood discussion, in the past Hamza's discussion with Krauss, all this stuff required an immense amount of dedication and time. It wasn't like, okay, you just stick the guys in front of a camera and they just roll and they just have this. It's actually an incredible amount of work, and you only even get to see the tip of the iceberg. You just get to see the fun stuff. There's a lot of stuff which they have in their minds which they haven't even been able to articulate. I was talking to Hijab earlier, and he made a very important point about the Ayaan, her view on colonization and the way that she praised it, but he didn't have a point of insertion in the discussion. It didn't actually come up, although it's such a profound point, and it took obviously a lot of reading and thinking and you know, a lot of, like, it takes time to come across this information. So you know, it's really hats off to you know, Hijab there. That, I mean, I couldn't be bothered to read her stuff. Definitely no. I couldn't be bothered to watch the stuff. But with his opponents, he'll watch everything, read everything. He'll really understand them. You know, it's like that statement of Sun Tzu that if you understand yourself, you understand your enemy, you fear not 100 battles. Right? That those two things, like, you really have to know the opponent, and it is a lot of work.
No, 100%, 100%. I feel like that's missing sometimes. Like people, like young people like us, me, and others as well. Like, you don't realize, like, as you said, you know, those, I see this meme where you have like the tip of the iceberg, and then at the bottom it's like success and then you see all the work that's done at the bottom, and how the bottom part of the iceberg, which is underwater, is the hidden part which we don't see, and we just see the top of it. That's exactly what it is. Because I think people like us, we sometimes think that you could just go on there, just as you said, just throw yourself up there, do what you need to do, and then come back off. But that way it's going to end disastrous. But then when you're confident in your abilities, when you've done the research, you can go up there and whatever, and you know, whatever is thrown at you, you're prepared for it. And if you're prepared for it, khalas, no, you won't fear anything. You won't fear anything.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum, brother Hassan. I just added you to the stream. Can you hear us?
Yeah, alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How you guys doing?
Good. Where are you calling in from?
I'm calling from New Jersey.
Okay.
Oh, mashallah, New Jersey.
Nice
Or
to
the other
have
side of
you.
the pond.
The other side of the pond.
Yeah.
You know, they say that there's a huge, obviously, geographical distance between, you know, the America and the UK. That we're divided by an ocean. But you know, I heard a recent joke that we're also divided by a language. Sometimes it's hard for Americans to understand British people and stuff. But yeah, anyway.
Honestly, I prefer listening to the British English. I think it's like more like singy, songy. You know what I'm saying?
How do you say a bottle of water?
A bottle of water.
You know how we say a bottle of water.
A bottle
Yeah,
of
that
water.
sounds more like you know, stylish.
A bottle of, you think that sounds stylish? Oh god.
Yeah, I think that sounds
That's
stylish.
cool,
Yeah.
A bottle of
Yeah.
water. Anyway, listen, guys,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go because unlike Sabura, I do need sleep. Sabura, I don't know how you do it, bro.
Yeah.
You guys
I mean,
should appreciate Sabura because you know he does this for you guys, right?
Yeah,
and
thank
I
you,
know how
thank
long
you.
he's been in the office today. So yeah, I just
Yeah,
want to say
thanks.
Jazakallah khair for
I'm
having
gonna
me on,
remove you, boy.
and take care of Assalamu alaikum. See you
All
tomorrow.
right,
Assalamu alaikum.
salam. And I'll add the other brother. So, brother Hassan, what did you think of the discussion?
I actually expected it was gonna be like a live debate. I think I read what was gonna happen. So
Yeah.
there was a little bit of a letdown on the format because I thought it was gonna be like
Yeah.
him talking to her directly. But I thought that like Muhammad Hijab's answers were a lot more well thought out. Like clearly he read so much and he was like quoting her page numbers in each of her books, and she was just saying like I feel, I think, like a lot of anecdotal evidence that isn't necessarily I would say applicable to maybe a wider audience. It's more so just like her personal experiences, where he was just like taking, for example, the thing where she was saying that like sexual assault or like rape increases as like the Muslims.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah,
that
that was
cool.
he really dismantled that. So I really I appreciated that, because usually on these types of podcasts you always see like non-traditional Muslims, and like the Western people usually have them. So he represented what I would consider, at least from my community and my like family members, like the more standard mainstream viewpoint, which is pretty rare. So overall I think his arguments were much stronger. I will say that what's it called? Like in the beginning, she was like, "Oh, this podcast was really stressful." Like, you know how she did the intro for like
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So she was like, "Oh, some people," like she was implying that like she was more taking like Ayyaan's side. She's like, "I had the pleasure of speaking to her," where it's like Muhammad Hijab is like, "Oh, this is Muhammad Hijab, like, here he's a philosopher XYZ," and she's like, "I had the pleasure of speaking to Ayaan," and blah blah blah.
And she
then
found
it
quite
seemed
intense,
like she had a bias a little bit.
She found it quite intense. She was mentioning about, I didn't edit anything out, but like at the end of the day,
I get it. Like he definitely went in a little bit with the
well, you have to
remarks.
understand that essentially, it's like if you look at it from a perspective of the host, if you have one person who's absolutely demolishing the other person, then in a way, just to balance things out, you need to be a bit like, oh, you know what I mean? Because you don't want to, it's because anybody watches the debate. I mean, a robot can watch the debate and it can tell you that you have stats, facts, evidence, argumentation, reasoning, logic. And then on the other side, what you get is, I think, and this and that, and unsubstantiated claims. That's what you have, right?
Yeah.
So maybe that's why she was just, kind of taking Ayyaan's side on that.
Yeah, the one thing I felt in the debate, he definitely overshadowed her, like a lot. Like it was like
She was boring. I'll be honest with you. It's so boring.
Yeah. So some of the times, actually, while I was watching, I couldn't wait until his parts. Even though I was trying to even though I wanted to focus, like when these debates happened, I sometimes know what from our side what we're going to be doing, but I like to focus from the opposition side. This time I couldn't wait until she was finished, because everything was just rehashed. Like I was trying to think of any new novel argument that she brought forth. There was nothing. Wallahi, there was no novel argument that she brought. Like I could summarize it right now. Why do Muslim women wear hijab? Why is the inheritance for men more than women? And why the women need a wali with them? That was literally the arguments that she made. There was nothing novel about it.
Very good point, Muhammad Hadib. But you know what's interesting? She didn't make an argument against the wali. She didn't make argument against the niqab. It was simply, these things exist and everyone's supposed to be in shock and horror. Like,
Statement,
yeah, I mean, okay, everybody knows that. Like, okay, who doesn't know that? But why is it wrong? I mean, why is it that you think you can you've confused an assertion with an argument? You've just asserted, right? You've just asserted that, oh, every woman needs a male guardian, and before she gets married, the male guardian has to give permission. Okay, like that's neither here nor there. Like, okay, why is that bad? Why? I mean, what they're doing is they're assuming everyone's a liberal, and then they're giving you something which is non-liberal, and you're just supposed to be, completely
bedazzled,
in shock. Oh my God. But it's all assumptions. You're assuming you're liberal and the people watching are liberals, and they're going to be shocked and horrified by this. That's it. That's all it
Yeah.
is. At least Muslims, we at least pretend to think like the liberals. Maybe they say this, then we say this, and we do these role plays. They don't even bother.
Yeah, and Hijab said it well while he was responding to Michaela. He said, if this is the line of reasoning, basically what he said is if this is the line of reasoning that she's coming with, then the fundamental issue that needs to be discussed isn't these little notions or whatever. The fundamental line of reasoning that needs to be discussed is we need to go back to first principles. What is it, Islam? Or are you going to be defending second wave feminism, for example? Which one are we going to go? Yeah.
Very good. Absolutely, I agree with that. I remember he did that. I completely forgot he did that. So thank you for bringing that up. Okay, so brother Muad, what did you think?
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Ohio.
Ohio, nice. We got Americans because it's like nearly 12 o'clock in the UK. That's why there's no British people watching this with their water. Anyway,
That is true.
so what did you think? What did you think of the discussion?
Alhamdulillah, I think it was a productive discussion. I was a little disappointed though, because I was comparing it with the Jordan Peterson discussion that happened, and the way that played out was very different to how this one was conducted. And I think part of my disappointment is probably because of the format, the way, like the asynchronous, the way it happened. And also, I don't think Michaela Peterson, or I haven't seen her shows before, but if her like MO is to go through like a checklist of questions and not like try to tease out any answers, like you're not gonna really get like a fully fleshed out response. I thought like she was just giving like cookie cutter questions and just expecting you to like fill out the blanks, kind of open slate, just respond however you like.
And that's due to the nature of the format, because she wants to be balanced and ask each of the speakers the same questions. But the problem is, like you said, she can't ask a follow-up question because of that format, because then she'll be asking questions and then I didn't understand this format, because what I felt is that Ayaan was answering her questions very aloof to how badly she was actually looking on the other side, when Hijab was basically addressing the same questions that she was answering, but also how she didn't live up to her own standards. She's supposed to be a feminist, supposed to be look out for women and women's rights, and is against polygamy, and ends up actually being in a polygamous relationship, a mistress, breaks her household. Hijab started mentioning the children's names. That was hilarious, but he's right. It's so true. What was little Ferguson, whatever his name was, the child's name, like that's true. Those children, their house, like their household was broken. Sue Ferguson and her children, they suffered because of this. So that there was that important point being made, that don't be here caring about rights and this and that when you yourself are a homewrecker. You did this to children. You did this to a household, a functioning household. I mean, where are you on the moral scale to be, talking to others as if you're some sort of authority? You're no authority. You're no champion of human rights. You don't even live up to your own standards. And the thing is, she couldn't see those things. So I think my view is she's now seen the discussion, and she probably regrets this debate. I don't know what you guys think, but I think she's regretting this entire experience.
They're already doing patchwork, as I said. Lawrence Krauss invited her over to his podcast or whatever to discuss her new book and her other previous books. They're already trying to patch it up.
Yeah, I think so.
No, another reason I was disappointed was because of the format, because Hijab didn't get to address her comments or her responses directly. He wasn't able to like completely dismantle her, like how David Wood was dismantled, because the points were addressed directly, and all of Hijab's comments were very grounded. But what she was responding to was emotional arguments. She was using emotion, but Hijab wasn't able to respond to that. So I don't think it was like an adequate, the job wasn't complete, basically. The intellectual dismemberment of
Yeah,
the
but
ideas.
it's the best possible situation, because she wouldn't have agreed to a debate at all. She'd be absolutely demolished. So this was the closest thing that could be achieved,
Oh, so
That
she
was-
requested that format? She requested that?
Sorry?
She requested
Well,
that format?
this is the format which Michaela put forward. But Ayaan, as a person, just like Richard Dawkins, they don't debate traditionalists. They just stay in their ivory towers, go to their conferences, sign their books, make money, and vilify Muslims. That's what they do. So yeah, I mean that's the closest we could have gotten.
Yeah, because I know Brother Hijab, he would definitely like to do it live. Like, like he's not afraid of that. So, no, but like I like sorry, your name is Brother Muad?
Yeah, Maad, yeah.
Yeah, Muad. I would have preferred it like the Jordan Peterson podcast. Like that was in my mind that what was gonna happen, because Michaela Peterson, Jordan Peterson, you get the whole vibe. But it's definitely left me wanting more, because like Brother Muhammad, he was saying that he wanted to like skip through her arguments because she had no substance. I had the same exact feeling, but I was like I'm biased, clearly my name's Hassan Muhammad, I'm gonna come in on the Muslim side. So I was like, let me listen to the other side, because like that's the fairest approach. But she really just like, I regret not skipping her sections, because she just had nothing to say, honestly.
Yeah, and there's so much charisma and mashallah energy and passion and eloquence on our side, and then with her, she's just like looking into the camera. They have to have a male guardian, but making her eyes big, like okay, like that's a storm in a teacup. Like it just came across so weak, because it's kind of like okay, so other than your enlightened Western liberal audience that you're trying to pander to, the vast majority of the world still has some sort of male guardianship role to play. What's happening in Ukraine? Same thing. Send the women away, send the children away. You're a 60-year-old man, you're not allowed to leave the country. It's the same thing.
Exactly.
What do you guys think of that?
You know what, as well? Wallahi, I'm not even over exaggerating. All the statements and assertions that she made, I was asked about them at one point in my life when I was from between the grades of 6 to probably grade 9 by other fellow classmates. Like it's nothing. I'm bedazzled that this is the level that we're dealing with. It's just bedazzling. I just can't fathom how you spend your whole life writing books and making arguments for all of a sudden all your arguments or all your assertions that you made to be dismissed by 1 or 2 hadiths. I just can't understand how someone can waste their time and their life, years, advocating and writing books about an argument which isn't even there to be had. It perplexes my mind, and this is what I saw today. By the way, for the things that like Hijab and how he conducted himself, I think it was a perfect mix between, like, it wasn't as if like the arguments that he made were lost with his charismatic nature. No, it was a perfect mix between both. And by the way, sometimes, and sometimes, like personally, even if I don't know someone, but if I see a statement made by someone such as Muslims worship the Prophet Muhammad, I don't care if you're a holder of 20 PhDs. I don't care if you're a holder of 30 PhDs. I don't care.
That's it, you're gone.
I'm not gonna take you seriously. And by Hijab inserting these little points that she once said, we worship the Prophet Muhammad, or at another time she mixed up a hadith with a Quranic verse, or another time she called Surah Al-Fatiha the verse of Al-Fatiha. When Hijab makes these little points, she starts to lose credibility, and next time,
and also like I forgot what page, but in her book, she just makes bizarre claims. The absolutely, she just makes statements with no even argumentation, no references about certain deep matters about Islamic jurisprudence. Like, okay, where did that come from? She just states it,
yeah.
you know.
She said something in the podcast.
So sorry, 1 second. Sorry to cut you off, brother Muhammad Hadid. Brother Muad and brother Hassan, I'm gonna remove you guys and add some more people. But
Alright.
Jazakallah
Yeah, no
khair.
problem. Assalamu alaikum.
Allah bless you guys.
Jazakallah khair.
I'm gonna add brother Waleed and brother Imad. Assalamu alaikum, guys.
Can you hear me?
Brother Imad, you've got some internet issues. The camera's all frozen. I'll go first to brother Waleed. How are you doing, brother Waleed? Where are you calling from?
Alhamdulillah, I'm calling from Seattle, Washington.
MashaAllah, a lot of Americans. You guys are dominating the chat. Where's the Brits, man? Wake up. I know it's 12 o'clock. Just wake up.
There's a 5-hour difference. Yeah.
My wife is in London and they're asleep right now. So
they're asleep. I should be sleeping. I should actually be sleeping. Got work tomorrow as well. So what did you think of the discussion, bro?
Alhamdulillah, I loved it. You know, a lot of the young people don't understand, or they don't really know who Ayaan is. I was a teenager, you know, early 2000s, and this woman she's evil. She really picked up on what happened on 9/11. She went with the big wave of Islamophobia that was happening back then. She made so much money off of it. People don't understand. There's blood on her hands. This woman was in the ears of a lot of top officials, especially in Europe, a lot of philosophers, and she was feeding them all this stuff just to hate Muslims, fear Muslims. Even in her answers today, you know, when she was asked what's the difference between Islam and Christianity, never mentions Tawheed or the Trinity, just talks about how, you know, they expanded very quickly and it was based on violence. Just those types of things to make people, you know, you can't be friends with them. You have to be afraid of them. And alhamdulillah, looking at her today, she looked weak. She looked broken. And this isn't even a debate. It looks like it just took a toll on her over the years. She doesn't have that fire when she speaks like she used to.
The kufr has weighed heavily on her soul.
Exactly. And I mean, she's so predictable. MashaAllah, Muhammad Hijab, you know, he looked a lot more comfortable in this than he did with Jordan. And she's so predictable that he knew exactly how to respond to her, even though he wasn't hearing her answers. At one point, I was like, is he listening in and just, does he know what she's about to say? But she's that predictable. And alhamdulillah, he embarrassed her today. And I'm glad he also went after Christians because, you know, this has been happening for a long time. Christians have this double standard where, you know, especially in the U.S., they're so politically driven. They talk about conservatism, but as soon as it comes to Islam, suddenly they want to be these liberal hippies, and they throw their entire conservatism out the window.
Yeah.
So
that's
I'm
very
glad
good
he went after her.
It's a very good, profound point, Brother Waleed. And I think the first point that you made was interesting. A lot of people don't know who she is. They don't know that she has played a role in terms of the demonization, the discrimination, and the targeting of Muslims all across the world, not just the Western world, the other parts of the world. And how I mean, let's just be direct. Why did the far right Islamophobes, Western neocons, neo-colonial propagators, why did they all love her? Because she was saying exactly what these Western colonizers were saying, except that she was a Black African woman. So it was like, we're not racist, exhibit A. That's all she was. This is why she's an embarrassment to Africans. She's an embarrassment to her Somali community. She's an embarrassment to anti-imperialists across the world. And she is an icon for who? She's an icon for the same people who right now, by the way, you know, they're all about Russia, 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 the whole Western world, everybody's about Russia. They've forgotten that, oh, Muslims are supposed to be the evil guys. You know, at the height of the war on terror, when these people were just trying to show Muslims are just like ISIS and Al-Qaeda, and we were trying to argue they're not, her narrative is exactly the same as theirs, which is, no, there's no difference between an average Muslim and, you know, these people who are obviously, from our perspective, there's no way these people represent Islam, but she wants to make it all look the same. So she was an ideological fodder for them. This is something that they would eat up and they would then use to, you know, push out their narratives. So, yeah, I mean, very disgusting individual. In fact, you know, miserable little specimen. Definitely, I don't think that was a bad description of her.
This was actually the second time I'm hearing this today.
She gave them everything they want to hear, and because Muslims had such a small voice in the early 2000s, nobody was able to push back on her points. Nobody had the platform to do it. And I think what makes it more disgusting is she would go after the weakest people. It wasn't just Muslims. It was refugees in general. It was the people who were fleeing conflicts and trying to get to safety. And she was going after them. So she was giving the right everything they want. You want to be against Muslims, I'll give you that. If you want to be against immigrants, I'll give you that too. And she made a lot of money on the way.
That's a very good point, because once you sell your soul to the far right, then you're going to need to sell all your soul. You can't sell half your soul. So her narrative, it wasn't just about Islam. It's about refugees, right? And interestingly, you know, her own name is actually refugee. It's not even Ayaan Ali Hirsi. It's Ayaan Magan. I think everybody's going to remember that now. And I think this is a point of inflection against the new atheism movement, because, you know, Christopher Hitchens is dead. You know, Sam Harris is now talking about spirituality. Daniel Dennett, no one knows where he is. Maybe he's going around impersonating Santa Claus now for extra bucks. No idea. And then you had, you know, people like Richard Dawkins, who they've clearly lost the plot, and a lot of people are calling him out for his bigotry. And she was supposed to be the one who hasn't been refuted yet. And I think she's gone away for many, many years without actually taking on a Muslim, right? A traditionalist Muslim. And for some reason, she accepted this discussion, even though it was limited. And nobody can say she looked good in that. Nobody can say she did well. In fact, I think, like Muhammad Hadib said, they're going to do some damage control, try and cover up, you know, what's happened and stuff.
She couldn't say a single negative thing about Christianity today during that entire debate. Like, she's just sucking up to them. And one thing I wish Muhammad Hijab mentioned in the debate is, well, where do we get Sharia from? Most of it is derived from Jewish law. So whether you guys like it or not.
Well, I mean, so Sharia's not derived from Jewish law, but it's identical in some aspects. Penal code. But again, this other thing that they make Sharia, which is so wide, and it has so many general categories about preservation of life, religion, so many positive things for the economy, so many positive things for charity, so many positive things for your personal health. All this stuff they'll just ignore, and they'll make Sharia into just these penal codes which are taken totally out of context. So even then, like you mentioned, you get those things in the Old Testament. In fact, you can say the Sharia is far more lenient than the Old Testament. So, brother Azhar, Assalamu alaikum. Where are you calling from?
Assalamu alaikum, brother. I'm calling from Ireland.
Ireland, nice, nice. Good to, well, someone closer to our end.
Yeah, I heard you mention there's no one up, so I'd like to know what might as well join.
Yeah, definitely. No, actually, that's good. That's good. We need to. Well, even Muhammad Hadib is Canadian, so he's on their side.
Yeah.
So, what did you think of the discussion, brother?
It was very interesting, obviously. Whenever Muhammad Hijab is there, like it's always interesting, and he made a lot of very, very important points. Um, like obviously being Muslims, like we take his side, and for good reason as well. It's not like just being biased. Um, the only thing I like, there's just something I kind of realized after I watched the whole thing, uh, especially after seeing Michaela's reactions. At the start of the video, she said something along the lines of like she was a bit was something like along the lines of frustrated with it, or by the end of it, or something like that. And then even throughout as well, you could kind of see at some points, like you could just tell from her face, like she had to come in and cut hijab a couple of times when he was having to go at Ayaan a bit too much, I think.
Yeah.
So just seeing the whole thing, and in the end, I feel like Muhammad Hijab, he definitely made the more like valid and argumental points, and like more along the lines of academics. Whereas I feel like Ayaan, the kind of things that she did talk about, I feel
Yeah.
like people who don't understand the religion and who are not Muslims, they're still going to be more drawn towards that because she played on the whole emotional aspect of it. So,
Yeah.
like people who are genuinely interested in Islam and want to learn, obviously they'll look up whatever hijab was talking about and they will get that. But for the most part, I feel like people are still going to end up like sympathizing with her, which
Yeah, I mean, the people on her side, this won't change their mind, but they
not
will
just the
take it
people
as
on
a
her
lot.
side, but even the people who are kind of on the line, on the borderline, they don't know which side. But you know, sometimes just in like even in Islam as well, when you're talking to someone and you're trying to just talk them into the religion, or even someone who's Muslim and you're trying to convey them like basically go down to the straight path. Sometimes like reasoning and arguments don't work as well as just sitting them down and having an emotional conversation.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that
it's
does
true.
play like that can be a lot heavier than just basic arguments and stuff like that.
Yeah, but with her audience, it's kind of different. That's with a normal person. Her
Yeah.
audience are the right wingers. With her audience, it's not about a cup of tea. It's actually people who are ideologically set against Islam, and for those people, you need to show them through strength that their
Oh no, that's
argument.
definitely whatever Hijab did was right. I it's not like he did whatever he did, it was right. I'm just saying the audience that Michaela kind of brings in, like a lot of them are potentially going to be non-Muslims. Like I mean, Ayaan didn't make any claims. She basically she didn't say anything valuable at all. Everything she said is whatever you'll hear from the like any passerby who doesn't really know much about the religion
Yeah,
Islam.
yeah, yeah,
Whatever
yeah.
people show on the media and whatever's on social media. She just basically said the exact same things. Like there's, I don't think there's even one point that I can remember from that podcast which was the original, or which
Yeah.
was like had
Yeah,
any backing behind it whatsoever. Like,
that's a very good point, by the way, brother Azhar. Muhammad Hadib, I was talking to him during the Twitter space that we had earlier, and that's exactly what he said. He said there's nothing that she said except that these murtads say the same thing. There's literally nothing. She brought nothing new. She didn't even say in a better way, except maybe just rolling her eyes a bit and just looking surprised, or trying to really like, it's like, you it's like a one trick pony. How many times can you say, oh, a woman has a male guardian, and go like this, like who okay, everybody knows that. Like, how many times are you going to get a reaction from people? That's all she was trying to do, is nothing of substance at all. So sorry guys, in terms of, I know there's more people trying to join the chat, and there's a lot more to say on this stream as well. However, I'm going to be back at work tomorrow, and it's been about an hour since I've been live. So we're gonna have to catch up again. But there's for everybody watching, please comment on the video of Michaela and Peterson, and the Ayaan hijab debate. Tweet about it. Let's get this discussion going. Let's make sure that the right wingers see that they've taken a loss. Right? Let them know they've taken a loss.
yeah,
And
I suppose that's the one thing we can do, that like bring it
yeah,
as much as into the light as we can, so at least people will see there's a lot of support behind it. So there must be some reason why a lot of
yeah,
Muslims are behind it. So I
yeah,
suppose that's the best thing we can do right now.
And can I
absolutely.
also say one more thing? I just want to let the people understand who this person that Hijab was dealing with, who she is. This is a person where her name, terrorists are literally writing her name and being inspired by her to carry out terrorist attacks. So that's all I need to say. This is the person that Hijab was dealing with. And to summarize the whole discussion, as we said, everything was just assertions. No novel arguments were made. The one time she tried to make an argument was the time where she was exposed for not even understanding the statistics. People from Africa.
Yeah.
No, all her answers were just yes or no answers. Whatever question Mikhail asked, yes, that's true. No, that's not true.
Absolutely.
That's all it was.
All right, guys. Jazakallah khair. Inshallah, we're going to be starting our Saturday night lives again soon. It's just been, crazy busy and stuff like that. So I haven't been able to do a lot in the past couple of months. But yeah, guys, inshallah, we'll catch up in the future. For everyone watching, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi